right, here we are.
Twingtown, baby.
We're back again. Check it, direct it. Let's begin. That's so stupid. I don't know what to do with my hands. But
okay, Ricky
you can't
Bobby.
See my hands. So, welcome back to the Twingtown podcast. I am David Tolliver, and over there is
Colt Mirsky.
Yeah, we're very surprised at the reaction that we got from our first podcast, which was we went platinum in Guam, for our podcast. We had like a weird area that
we got a stream in Tokyo.
In Tokyo,
let's go. We're international.
Turning Japanese. I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. I've always wanted to go to Japan. I think I would do well there.
I think they would kick you out and never let you back in.
No, they wouldn't, because I respect their culture. I'll take my shoes off when I don't need to. Like, I'll go in Walmart over there and just take my shoes off.
Do they not do that anyway?
I don't know. I've never been there. That's why I want to go. I want to experience all the sushi and the Walmarts in Japan.
And the KFCs.
We need to be sponsored by Walmart and KFC for that fact right there.
And Japan.
This podcast brought to you by... Now, welcome back, guys. We still have no idea what we're doing, but we're doing it. And I guess we're doing it and doing it well.
We're doing it today
with... so stupid. I'm so dumb. Yeah.
We're doing it today with Houston Phillips.
Houston, do we have a...
Don't do it.
Houston doesn't have any problems today.
No, Houston, we have a podcast. Welcome, my
This
friend.
isn't Houston's first rodeo.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Are you really glad to be here?
I am. I get to, usually, what time is it?
I don't know.
Almost 4. And I'm picking up the kids, doing that thing. So it's nice having a little guy time. I feel like I'm doing something wrong because I'm not doing my normal schedule.
You're in so much trouble right now.
Right,
you don't
yeah,
even know
exactly.
Yeah.
What are your kids doing? They just sitting there all lonely and shit?
Crying for dad.
Daddy didn't. He went to a podcast.
It's been fun, guys. I have to get home.
Daddy doesn't love me.
Oh, man, we
Mama got
appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, Houston Phillips writes here at Curb Word Music Publishing with me and Colt, actually. We're kind of farming out our friends that we can grab a hold of during the day. Houston had no idea he was going to come up here and do this today, and we just drug him in here because we have that power. Mm-hmm. So thank you for being here, man. He's a wonderful songwriter. He's had some cuts, and he's a really good looking dude. You can't really see it, but he has striking features. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Keep going.
Don't stop there.
Where are you from, man? Tell us where you're from. Tell us how you got to town, what you did, because we all had jobs. I worked at Applebee's. Mm-hmm. Colt did stuff we can't talk about on a podcast.
Yeah. Dollar bills,
y'all.
Have you ever heard of Dickerson Pike?
Wow.
That wasn't me.
We went to Dickerson Pike.
That was another Colt.
No, man.
That was Colt Ford.
Throw us a little of your backstory. How did you end up in Nashville?
Yeah, Cleveland, Tennessee, born and raised.
Lee University.
Yeah, I went there for a year.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you drop right out?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful place. It wasn't for me. I needed to get out of town. And embarrassing story, but it's how I got here when I had left. So I went to Lee, and then I went to UTC at Tennessee Chattanooga. And all my friends went to University of Tennessee. And I read a book by Kelly Lovis, and it was about songwriting. And, I always did the campfire stuff, and I was always the guy in town. We play music and whatever, and I was like, man, this Belmont place sounds pretty cool. Kelly's like, here's your roadmap. If you do these things, you're gonna make it in Nashville, right? And Belmont was one of those. Like, whatever. So when I left UTC, I applied to University of Tennessee and Belmont. Those 2 colleges. I got denied at University of Tennessee and accepted at Belmont on academic probation because I was like,
oh, wow.
So you went into Belmont University on academic probation.
If I made 1 C, I was out for the first year. I was out.
How many C's did you make?
0.
You did so well.
Yeah, I mean, I never studied, never did homework. I mean, I went to a high school that you could skip class Monday through Thursday and get the graded papers back from your friends and just fill out your missing work. I mean, that. And sports was always, more important than that type of stuff. So, anyways, my grades were terrible. And when I came to Nashville, man, I didn't know anybody. It was the best thing for me. I grew up really fast and had to do homework and didn't have any distractions and these things, and we ended up graduating from Belmont, and I met Chris Young through some friends. A friend of mine, Mark Rucker, who works at Big Loud now, he was working for Chris's mom at the time, Becky, at the...
Becky's a wonderful woman. She is an accountant
The
in
best.
town, business manager.
Yep.
If you need one, go over there to Haskins Harris and tell her
That's
we
it,
sent you.
man. And I graduated Belmont, and I'm like, man, this is going to be easy to get a job, right? And I apply like BMI and all these places, and they're like, 4 years experience, 5 years experience. I'm like, well, how are you supposed to get experience if you don't hire somebody, right? And Becky just said, hey, look, I don't really have a job for you, but why don't you come by my office for like 3 days a week and pay you $8 an hour? You can take out trash, rearrange the fridge. I mean, whatever she could do. She just didn't want me to leave town.
Yeah.
And I did that for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months. And then Jared Neiman was one of her clients. And she said, hey, I think you're ready to go out on the road and do T-shirts for Jared. And that's kind of where the story all started.
But is anybody ever ready to get out on the road with Jared?
We've known Jared for a long time. I killed his career with a song called Donkey.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I did all those. But yet Jared is a really good friend. But to be on the road with him, I don't know how you did it, man.
You want to go into that? Tell us how that broke your soul.
And were there actual goats on the bus?
There was
donkeys.
There was a donkey. I mean, we had J.R. McCoy, who was a utility player. Would make him dress up as Spider-Man every night, or when Donkey came, he'd wear a donkey mask on stage the whole time, just sweating. It was. So I know that doesn't surprise anyone here, but no, Jared, and I mean, brilliant guy, and we were on the Dierks Bentley tour at the time, and I've been selling T-shirts for him for like 6 months or whatever. And he had a koozie that said, Jared Neiman always says real women drink beer. And like the numbers are through the roof on this koozie. And I come in, I'm like, hey man, and I never said you had to ride with me. I just said, hey, you need a song in your set called Real Women Drink Beer, because look at these numbers. You're outselling the headliner. Like,
Yeah.
And he just looks at me kind of funny, gets quiet, and I'm like,
Well, Jared looks at everyone
I'm
kind
fired.
of funny. You know?
Well, to me, I'm like, oh, I'm fired. Definitely fired. I overstepped my merch rule, And I don't know, 5 minutes later of just dead silence, he goes, hey, why don't you go to the back and ride it with me? And that changed my life, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we go back there, and he wrote like 99.9% of it because I was scared to death to say anything. I didn't even know what we were doing. And
Had you written the song prior to that?
oh yeah, I mean, I moved to town to write songs. That was the
got
whole
you.
reason.
I
That
got
was it. I was chasing songs that when I got to town, people stopped cutting. But the Bethard stuff and Steel stuff, those type of songs. That's what I moved to town to do. And Jared kind of knew that. I had kind of mentioned it to him in passing. But when he said that, man, we went to the back, and like I said, we wrote the song, and he put it on his album, and that changed my life. And
Man, Jared is one of those guys, and Lee's like that. Then in the fact that they'll draw from anywhere.
Totally.
I mean, they've given a lot of people a chance in town, just for no other reason than somebody gave them a chance.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that he would do that. And I mean, I've written with you before, and I know you're a talented writer, but I'm sure it took you a while to get into that groove. I know it took me a while to actually write a song worth a damn.
Even cuts, even 6-7 cuts, Tyler Farr and this type of stuff. I realized when I got off the road and I wasn't managing Tyler. When you step in,
let's speak to that for a second.
Yeah.
Don't
not
gloss over
only-
Tyler just so fast.
Yeah, you can't just skate over that.
Oh,
So you
man.
sold T-shirts. You were
Yeah.
what do they call you? A cloth
merch guy.
No, the merch guy. But there's another one. It's like a clothes jockey or a shirt jockey or something like
I
that.
don't know.
You don't know.
I was just
I
a
have no-
swag. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
Uh,
so you left Jared and you went.
Well, this is what happened. So Tyler would come out, and he had the first couple of singles out, and he just signed his deal with Sony, and they didn't do anything. And he was riding our bus on a lot of shows opening for us because he couldn't afford a bus, so he would just come out and just play acoustic. And we just became buddies. We hit it off, And when Redneck Crazy started taking off, he's like, "Man, I need a tour manager. I need a tour manager. Houston, I need a tour manager."
That's it.
Okay, man. Well, I've never done it, but I've had 2 or 3, in previous jobs. So yeah, I'll give it a shot. All right, So I go from riding this, super nice Jared bus, and we go to the Sprinter van or white van, and then a Sprinter van, and then ended up 3 hits later. Ended up with 2 or 3 buses and trailer. I can't even remember, but yeah, that's how all that started, and that was awesome because when you're a tour manager of an artist, anywhere he goes, I go. So if he takes a jet back with Jason Aldean or Florida Georgia Line or whatever, I get to go. So now I'm meeting all these people, getting in fantasy leagues and basketball and all this stuff we're doing, which really helped me later on. I was able to have a relationship with an artist that I normally would never have gotten in with, and have their email or whatever, and I'll send it to them, see what happens. Oh, they held it. Oh, they cut it. What? But also with Tyler, he included me, kind of like Jared, he included me on rights that I shouldn't have been in the room with at the time. If we had a writer retreat in Arizona with Phil O'Donnell or whoever, they would fly out, Lee Thomas Miller, whoever it was, he would include me on that. And so I was writing way up, which accelerated what I did at a faster rate than most because I was in the room with people I shouldn't have been with because Tyler was nice enough to include me on that stuff. So
so is there one story?
Oh Lord, don't do this to me.
You got to, man. This is what
I've got a fun story.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
talk to me.
Involves Tyler and Houston.
Oh,
so
did they
like
have...
in 2015? I was in Spain visiting my cousin who was stationed there in the Navy, and it was like 4th of July week. It was just happened to just randomly be out there, and then somehow caught wind that y'all were there. Mm-hmm. Y'all were playing a show. I think it was a USO thing for the troops or whatever. Mm-hmm. They played their show, and we met up at some just random bar, like restaurant and bar type place in Rota, Spain.
Yep.
And then we proceed to just Americanize this bar. I mean, we are doing shots. We are chugging beers. It is getting rowdy.
You got merry.
Yeah.
You had a merry old time.
I mean,
yeah.
We were getting crunk. I think, well, I don't know if you were, because you were on the clock
early.
and you were having to be responsible.
I took that early, but
I know we were all hurting the next day.
That was the first time I ever experienced a bidet. That was interesting. Yeah.
But damn, that was good.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. I mean,
did it change your life?
It did. It really did. Yeah. It was like, okay, here's this. I don't really know what this is, right? It's like a little water fountain looking thing. I'm like,
did you drink out of it?
I'm not that short. No, but I look at the I look at the thing, and there's a guy, like a diagram of a guy with a stream of water shooting right up his butt. You know? And I sit on that thing, I push that button, and I'm that guy. It's like,
you're the diagram.
I'm the diagram. And then it said oscillate, and I was like, why not?
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
It was great. Yeah. I didn't even have to poop. It was great.
I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of my friends, and I have recently, in the past year or so, have got into the habit of having wet wipes with me everywhere I go. Because there's nothing like a clean buttocks. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy them. And they're like, hey, bro, you got to take it a step further. You got to go bidet.
Do you have one at your house?
I do not have one. I don't know if I should get one. I don't know if I would like it too much. What if I like it so much that I never want to leave my house to poo anywhere?
Yeah.
That'd be awkward.
It would be awkward.
Leaving
you can't take your bidet with you.
Leaving in the middle of your car ride just to go home to poop. I mean,
yeah. Is there a
people
portable?
Think you have self-conscious issues?
Yeah. Is there a portable bidet?
We're getting so far out in the weeds right now.
We sure are right now.
Let's wrangle back.
So you went.
Let me host you.
Why not? We have, it's fine. We're fine. I'm fine. You're fine. So we've gone, Jared. You got your start with him as a something jockey that I can't remember what it's called. T-shirt person?
Yeah.
A merch guy. Jared gave you a chance. Tyler, you went, and you started tour managing him. You signed your first publishing deal?
Yeah, I signed it right after the Jared Neiman thing. It was a Music Mill. It was an old Alabama thing. It's not the best deal, but it was it was extra money. When you're a merch guy and you're making show pay, an extra $800 a month is a big deal.
Yeah.
So they were banking on me getting more Jared cuts, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going to ask him for more. Like he had already given me a start, right? And so a year in, they dropped me, and like, oh, get him more cuts to drop you, Anyways, after I do some stuff with Tyler and wrote one on his first album, two on his second one, then Dallas calls, and
Dallas is Dallas Davidson.
Yeah, played again, and I wrote there for 7-8 years, and
Dallas Davidson is for those who don't know is he's Luke Bryan's basically best friend, and I think he pretty much wrote every song that Luke's ever done with Luke or for
biggest
Luke.
ones, sure.
Yeah.
But Dallas has had a bunch of number ones.
30s, I think.
Yeah, he's a tremendous, prolific songwriter. He's a good friend of ours as well. But yeah, man, Dallas gave you a publishing deal. How'd that work out? How is Dallas as a publisher?
Why are you laughing? He's great.
I know him as a dude, man. Yeah,
man, Dal's great. We call him Dal Capone, man. He takes care of you, man. Dal Capone, that's what we call him, man. When I first signed there, we were at the Big Loud building, and then it got I guess Wiseman had the record label open up, and then they kicked us out. So it took us a while to find a space. And I remember at one point during there, he had a Bentley that he was leasing out or bought or whatever, and had a driver, so he could sit in the back with his newspaper and let the
Man, Dal Capone.
it's a real thing, man.
I mean, I love the dude, but that is perfect. Dallas. He hired a driver and got a Bentley so he could read his newspaper. Who reads a newspaper anymore besides Dal Capone?
It was a decade ago.
Was he reading the funny, like the comics?
I don't know. I didn't get to ride in there.
I don't know.
I got to ride in there one time when I first signed there. Yeah.
Yeah. Can Dallas actually read, you think?
Oh yeah, he can read.
At sophomore level?
He can read that BMI statement.
That's good. So what next, man? You wrote for Dallas for a while?
Yeah, we wrote there, and then I came here, and I've been here, 4 years now? Somewhere like that, 3 or 4.
Something. Time flies for me. I can't keep track of it.
Me too, man. It's been great. I freaking love it. Not just because Colt's sitting here, but, man, it's family. It's a different dynamic. And here at Curb, it seems like they vet the person as much as they do the talent.
Yeah.
So when you're in the hallways and you're building this brotherhood and sisterhood, it's like, man, it's more family than anything. So I love it.
That is, that's the thing. I've been here 2 years now, but just seeing, I came up here today and you're just sitting in the office. I came up the other day and you're just sitting in the office, and came up the day before that and you're just sitting in his office. I don't know what you're doing, just coming up and sitting in his office,
taking over the world, man.
Coca-Colas and chilling.
Yeah.
It is a family. Colt and I talked about it last week. We've all known each other for a long time. Yeah. Nashville is a family. It's just one big melting pot of people. I talked about it in Vegas this weekend at a show, and they're like, "Oh, do you know this person?" I'm like, "Yeah, we all know everyone." Yeah. Are we all as good as friends as certain ones? No. But we all know each other, and that's one thing that I think makes country music, country songwriting community a little different, is that we are basically related.
Yeah, it's like an adult high school. Yeah,
yeah, it is. It is for sure high school, and there are cliques. There's certain people that write a lot and get a lot of hits, and then they'll move to the next one. You've been fortunate to be in a lot of those camps. You're writing now. What's some of the favorite stuff you've done? Who's some of the people you've worked with recently that you're digging on that that most people wouldn't know? I know you worked with Heath for a while.
Yeah, man, Heath is incredible. I got invited to the BMI. What do they call it when they have new signees at BMI and they have a little thing over there and you come listen? And I remember Heath just knocking me out.
He's a singing. It's Heath Sanders. He's a singing son of a bitch, man.
He knocked me out, dude. And he's the first artist to date that I walked up and said, "Hey, man, will you write with me?" It's the first person. And he didn't have a deal at the time. He may have just signed a Sony deal, but he didn't have any record label stuff. And helping on the production end of that was awesome. Yeah, diving into some of that, it was a lot of fun. But yeah,
nice. And then, you love writing with me.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like your favorite person.
Yeah, but when I write with you, I laugh so much that it's hard for me to finish a song because I'm just laughing nonstop.
If I could turn my giggles from people into money, I would be David Gates.
It's called stand-up comedy. You should try it.
I can't do. There's no way I could sit down and do stand-up.
Sit down and do stand-up. You're supposed to stand up.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all got that.
Sit down and stand. Oh yeah, smell what you're
clever professional songwriter. Hashtag. You put the hashtag before it or after it?
Before.
Before it. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. We don't have a cough button yet because we can't afford it.
No,
but we'll eventually have a cough button.
You can edit.
Well, he'll edit that out.
Well, I don't have time to edit. We just let it roll, baby.
Yeah, we're pretty much. I'm scared what I said so far.
So the whole bidet thing's going to stay, right?
It's here.
Man. Bidet is here to stay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not sending it to anybody then. Okay.
No. I guess I should get a bidet.
We'll take a sponsorship from a bidet company.
That's true.
If I knew a bidet company, I would say their name right now, but I don't know a bidet. What do you know one?
And not knowing sponsors' names is pretty common. I remember with Tyler, we had a feeding company. I still can't even pronounce it. We'd have to do certain meet and greets, a night and all this stuff. I don't want to meet and greet. I don't even know what they're called.
Tyler's like
either, man.
He's like a high pitched sling blade.
feed.
Yeah.
He's basically a
He
high
can do a
pitched
good
sling
sling
blade.
blade.
Sling blade?
Yeah, all of them.
You don't
all
have the word.
blades.
You don't have words right now, do you?
Sling.
He
How's
doesn't
that
even
tough?
have to try. He just talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember I got him to do this charity thing with me one time, and Enzo was his manager at the time. I guess he still is. I don't know. But it was a charity thing that I'd put on this charity golf tournament every year. And I'd ask Tyler to come play with me and, play the show afterwards. And we're going to get to the course, and it's like 8:30. Shotgun start at 10. 9:30. I'm calling him. Nothing. 9:45. Nothing. So finally I call Enzo. Enzo's like, I don't know. I'll try to find him. About 12, Enzo calls me and goes, hey, man, Tyler was asleep. Like, he's a damn good sleeper because I called him about 55 times.
Wow.
Houston didn't wake him up.
No,
Yeah.
but he finally came out, man. He killed it, played he didn't get to play golf. He came to the show and played for us, and he was awesome. He's always impressed me, but singing, writing, whatever it is, man. He's a talented cat. What else you got going on, man? I know we had some stuff in Nashville that was very close to home for a bunch of people, bunch of songwriters, and you especially. It was the Covenant shooting here at the Covenant School. And just tell me a little bit about what you've been doing, how that affected you and your family. As much as you want to share with us, that's great. I know it's hard when it hits that close to home.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, we're just same like everybody. We're writing, producing daily, hoping that you get the next Luke Combs in the room that day. And but as far as like Covenant goes, March 27th. I had dropped Cooper off, and I did the chapel there at Covenant. You can stay and do chapel with your kids, and it lasts about 30 minutes, and I leave there about 8:30ish and get back home, and I had forgotten to charge my phone and my watch last night, so I put it on the charger as soon as I get home. I had a ride at 11, so I'm home at 9ish, and from what I found out is the shooter had come in about 9:30, so I missed her by about 30 minutes, and that was a tough pill to swallow, because you're the dad, you're the protector, and you were right there. She even parked in my exact same parking spot that I park in every day, because there's a tree there in that median that sets off my sensor. So when I saw my sensor when I back into it, so I saw the picture, I was like, my gosh, I missed about 30 minutes, and I'm sure that was a God thing. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I get back home, and I had put my phone and stuff on the charger, like I said, and I go to fix me a sandwich before I go in my right, and I come back and my phone's blowing up. My wife had called me like 6 times, and a couple of other calls from my buddies, and I finally called Kristen back. I'm like, what's going on? She's a school teacher at Brentwood Academy, and it's not, something's wrong. She don't ever call me. And she's just crying. She said, there's an active shooter at Covenant. And my heart just sank, man. And I said, okay, grab my keys. As soon as she said, I grabbed my keys, and I started running for the door and get in the truck. And I said, well, have you heard anything from his teacher or anything like that? No. And I slammed the door, started up. I turned my hazards on, dude. I got an F-150. I was just hauling, and I was just pushing people off the road, beeping. I don't know how I didn't wreck, but I got there, and we get to the church, and they said they're going to bring the kids over. I got there about 10:55.
so you have no idea if he's been involved in this or not at this time. Oh God, dude, I can't
even imagine. At the time, my daughter was going to a school just right down the street, and just knowing that it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get there, I don't know, 10:55, and they're telling us to meet with the police, give us our information, so when the kids are bussed over, we can reunite with them, in my mind, I guess I just thought, well, well, if he's okay, we'll see him pretty soon. Yeah, I didn't see him till 2, that day. But thank God that the teacher had sent out a text to my wife not long after we had gotten there, and sent a picture of him at the church we were at. He had already been showed over, but they had to do all this stuff, like writing names down. That's why it took so long, but he was safe. A picture of him, and he was eating snacks with his buddies and stuff. And, you get that picture, and your mind immediately goes, okay, grace. However long this takes, show some grace, right?
Yeah.
Because at least I get to take him home. And the hard thing about all that, man, is they were not telling anybody anything as far as, like, you're seeing updates on your phone about kids died, 3 kids dead, 3 staff, and you don't know who those 3 are. And a lot of the staff and the family, it's a small school. It's 200 kids there. So the parents, we're real close. It's like a big life group at Covenant. We're all friends. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope it isn't so-and-so's kids. I hope it isn't this teacher or that teacher, whatever. And you don't find out those details until later on, the evening. But I remember sitting there, and the custodian's daughter was to my left, just right behind me. And I guess the police had come over and told her they need to come back there, and she just immediately not my dad, no daddy, and just screaming, and those just haunting chills, and so you huddle up around and you pray for it, and you're like, how's anything good gonna come out of this?
Yeah.
That's really what I was thinking, in that, like, they're children, how's this happen here? I'm a man of faith, but what's going on here?
Why did this have to happen? Senseless,
totally.
dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, you take something like that. I personally have never been involved in it. I was on my way to write that day. The guy I was going to write with had a kid there too, I guess, and he texted us and was like, "Hey,
what was his name?
David
Spencer?
No, it was he works with
Ken Hart,
with Kelsey Hart, the songwriter.
Oh, Blake Bollinger.
Blake Bollinger.
Yeah, so he used to have kids there. He don't now.
Yeah, he still had, or he had friends that were
which was us, me. Yeah.
Well, that was y'all.
Yeah.
Well, this is a small family
Small
here in
town.
Nashville.
Yeah, and he knows Chad Schultz and some other ones that helped me put on the Opry deal. But yeah, so you finally get to reunite with your kids, and man, the media is just awful. They're just helicopters, and they're just so intrusive. And so we walked around the backside. So it was just, as far as you can see, just cameras everywhere. So I want to walk around the backside and just get us out of it.
Yeah.
And, we get back home, and it's you're asking him. You're trying to ask him what he saw, right? Like what was his experience? How do I help this 5-year-old process what just happened, right? And he's being real quiet and not really saying a lot. So I'm just like, he'll tell me, when he wants to. So he had baseball practice that night, and we went ahead and took him because we wanted to keep routine normal.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, that was the hardest thing we ever did, was take him at practice of the night of that day that happened. Yeah. It took every ounce of courage for us to just get out of the house again, And I had dropped him off that morning. So, like, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, how am I ever going to drop this kid off anywhere, ever,
Yeah. That's a
Let
safe,
them out of your sight.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be a safe place for them. Church at a school.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And they go back just a little bit. When we interviewed there, the headmaster who passed in that incident, she's interviewing me and my wife, and she's telling us how great Covenant is. She goes on this hour-long spiel. And we get to the end of it, and my wife is a school teacher, like I said, 7th grade at BA, and I'm thinking she's going to have a laundry list of questions, right? So, you guys have any questions about the school and all this stuff? And my wife had nothing. And I thought, well, halfway through her spiel, I know she didn't talk anything about security. Yeah. And this is eerie to think about now. But when she got done with the whole thing, any questions, I said, look, I got one question. And I know this will never happen. I know this is terrible even to ask, but what can you tell me about your security and your first shooter protocols at the Covenant? And she assured me that doors would be locked and key cards and all these things. It made me feel good. So there's one person, one teacher that carries, and it made me feel pretty good about it. So when I do chapel or whatever, there's so many different doors you can get in because it's a church. I would always check doors, always locked. It was locked that day.
Yeah.
So to your point, man, that was the last thing on my mind that morning. When I dropped him off, it was the first Monday after spring break, and it was just another normal Monday, you know.
So you take something that tragic, and I know that something got laid on your heart to do something about it. And can you tell us about, you know, what you've done since then? I know you had this amazing revelation to do a certain something. Will you tell us about that? I said something a lot.
Well,
something.
Well, I'll tell you, like, man, I feel like when you get in situations like this, you get two options. You can be angry at God and turn away, or you can dig in harder than you ever had. And that's what I chose, man. I chose to dig in, and they had asked us to come to chapel the night before we go back. So we go, break it down, you know, the shooting happens on March 27th. We go 4 or 5-ish weeks where we're not getting any updates. We're just sitting at home like everybody else. Just, I don't know when he's going to go back to school. Thank God Curb was so nice to let me stay home and be with him during that time. And I didn't have to worry about the pressure of work and all this stuff. I just spend some time with him. And then finally we get an email like, hey, we're gonna do a chapel at the Covenant School. And then we're going to go to school the next morning at Brentwood Hills Church of Christ, where they're still at right now. And we go down there, and man, we show up, and there's still bullet holes in the stained glass of the church when we go there. And I'm walking up, and I'm seeing scuff marks from bullets where she shot down into the parking lot of the police. And you know, you get there, and you're like, man, I don't know if I can be here. Like and we get in there, and somebody says, there's a rainbow outside. What? It's a rainbow outside. It's not raining. What are you talking about? I go out there, and it's end to end, double, just gorgeous, vivid rainbow that, I mean, you can't script it. You can't make it up. I mean, it was just like, you know, what Scripture talks about. Noah was the only one to see that rainbow. Yeah. You know, that's what we felt like. Like, that was there, and I'm like, man, you can't make this stuff up, dude.
No, dude. That's some God stuff right there.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And so anyways, they said we did the chapel, and then they had the lady gets up there, Mary Craig from executive session. I got a couple of announcements to read off real fast. Some dates coming up. Now I want somebody to pray us out. And I was like, okay, you know what? She does her little thing, and then I'm sitting like, if she's on the stage, I'm like back left, like nowhere near the front, like way in the mix, right? She goes, Houston, will you pray us out? And I'm like, all these parents who are just dealing with all this stuff, they're getting ready to send their kid back to school for the first time since March 27th. But for whatever reason, man, like I couldn't get up there to that microphone fast enough. I don't know what it was, but I was so excited to pray. And I just had a conversation with Jesus about all our fears and anxieties and all these things, and it's just really specific in that. And I only tell you that to tell you this, because I had done that prayer. They asked if I would prayer walk the next morning, which was the first day back since the shooting, first day. And I was like, yeah, you know, whatever, and I'd be happy to. So I go in there, and the next morning, and like, you know, all this stuff's just flooding in on me because I was the one that dropped him off that morning. So dropping him off was a trigger for me. And we pull up, man, and there's 6 cops on horseback in front of the school with a big sign that says "Welcome Covenant," you know, students and stuff. And I can't explain just the gratitude immediately, just that weight lifted off of us too, of just fear just gone, just like that. You know, they had police dogs everywhere, and I know in your mind it probably sounds like overkill, but it was exactly what we needed. And we go in there, and I'm trying to keep it together, and he goes to his class, a new place we'd never been, Brentwood Hills, you know, and they've been wonderful, but it wasn't Covenant, wasn't what we signed up for. And I go in, I start doing this prayer walk thing. And the interim headmaster's like, this is the 3rd grade. You know, spends a little extra time here. She's giving me some direction or whatever. And I put my hands on the doors, and I'm praying, and I'm praying. And, man, it was like those prayers were hitting the roof and just bouncing right back down. And I just felt so disconnected from God. And it was just the oddest feeling. And I just go in the hallway, and I sit down in the middle of the hallway, and I'm like having this conversation with God, almost out of anger, like, what am I doing here? Like, what good am I really doing here, God? Like these people are dying inside. Like, they're hurting, they're broken. what good is this little prayer that this little redneck from Cleveland, Tennessee is going to put on his hands of this door? It's not cutting through.
Yeah.
And about that time, one of the teachers, I see her coming walking through the hallway, and she's wiping her eyes. And immediately, just instinct, I just jumped up and put my arm around her, and I said, I know this is a loaded question. Hey, Miss Mary Craig, how you doing? Hey, Miss Phillips. And I said, I know this is a loaded question, but how can I pray for you right now? And, dude, she unleashed. I mean, all her fears and stuff that she had seen and all this stuff. And I just held her tight, and I prayed for her. Exactly the things that she was going through. She just told me about pray for all those things specifically. And I sat back down, and I was like, okay, God, that's what I'm here for. I felt it then. And I sat there, man, from 8:30 till, whenever pickup was, and I did that with every teacher and parent that came by.
That's awesome, man.
Did that all day. Well, the only reason I'm telling you this to get to the Opry show is I realized that a lot of people had it a lot worse than us that day.
Yeah.
My son was on the first floor on the north end of the school. A lot of the bad she'd ran on the south side, and a lot of the bad stuff happened on the second floor. Now, this is a small school, small church. He heard it wasn't far. But, man, if you had to be a part of it, we got off good, you know. He thought it was a fire drill.
Yeah.
You know, that conversation, I had to sit him down before he did his first play date and tell him a lot of the bad stuff that happened because he didn't know. His teacher told him it's a fire drill. And he was excited to ride the bus that day, you know, back to us. And I just knew that, man, I'm in the middle of this, and I can see eye level with these people because I went through this with you. I got to help these people because I'm not having conversations with my son about they were in the line that those kids got shot, and they had to run back into their classroom for their lives. I'm not having that conversation. Cooper didn't see another kid get shot and killed. He didn't see any of that stuff, you know, much less the teachers and all that stuff. So I just knew that I need to help these people, man. And we're in a unique position in what we do where we meet a lot of cool people. And it's just business. It's what we do, but they're still cool people. So Jason Aldean had texted me the morning of the shooting. He was one of the first people to text me to check on Cooper. Hey, man, is Cooper okay? I know he's good. Is he okay? Yeah, he's good. I finally ended up texting him back. And, you know, after I did that prayer thing, I just thought, man, so I reached out to Jason, and I was like, hey, dude, if I put together something at the Opry, or I didn't even say Opry, I just said, if I put a benefit together, would you play it for me?
Yeah.
And he goes, just make sure I'm in town, and I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And that gave me confidence to go to the Opry and go, hey, Jason said he's in if we get the date right.
It's huge.
Right. Yeah. If Jason had wrote back and be like, or not wrote back at all, you know, I don't know if I would have had the confidence to go to the Opry and go, hey.
That's the thing about Nashville too, man.
Yeah.
They're everybody in the industry is willing to step up and help out however they can. And good on Jason. And once you get, you know, one of those big names to come out
then
and be
you know
like,
it's
here,
a
I'm here.
sellout,
And
right?
you're like,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
Everybody
you know
else
it's
is
a
going to
sellout.
fall in place too.
Totally, man. So he was the first one that gave me the confidence to go to the Opry, and when I presented to the Opry, they were just all about it, man.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to do something, wanted to help Covenant, but they didn't want to make it about them.
Yeah.
So they were literally sitting back and waiting on something like this to come up. And talked with Opry Dan over there, Dan Rogers, and some other people, and we got it lined up on the date. And my idea was, why don't we have, because we had a night of healing. Dave Barnes, his kids go to our school as well. And they did a night of healing with Thomas Rhett and Carrie Underwood. And it was like right after the shooting at Belmont. And I wanted this to be like a celebration, man, like new beginnings. God's getting us through this, and we're going to start over and that type of deal. So we picked August 7th. And, you know, I had this vision in my mind of all these people and all this stuff, and I sit down, I look at all of them, and man, it's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be good and all, but I'm gonna need a little help. So Chad Schultz, his son, goes to Covenant as well. He used to be VP of marketing or promo at Warner, I can't remember. And I knew he was in the business. He'd been reaching out, hey man, I heard you've been going to put this benefit together if you need some help. So I brought him on board. After I got the Opry on, once the Opry said yes, and Jason and all these things, then we sit down at a coffee shop and we start brainstorming artists. All right, let's start from the top and work our way down. And man, that list that I still have, I could have put 3 different shows together, but everybody was saying yes when I'd asked.
Wow.
So I didn't have to go down the line, you know. I mean, it was like it came to a point, actually, that we had to turn down some people that once the press release came out, some other artists would reach out and like, man, out of courtesy to the Opry, because, side note, the Opry donated that entire night free. Like, the workers there, the venue, all that, it didn't cost, we didn't have a dime in that entire show, man.
That's
and they
amazing.
moved something else, right?
Huh? Yeah, they had they had something on that date when we presented that date, and they called whoever they had booked for that night and had it moved for us.
It's huge.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I knew that they had given us a 2-hour window, right? And I knew if I added more than 12, then we would be pushing 3. And I don't know what overtime rates and union and all this stuff, it was going to cost them a lot more money if I didn't respect that window.
Yeah.
So I had to turn down artists, is my point. And, yeah, man, I mean, you talking about a lot of good hearts that just never get recognition. That's what that show was. I mean, I spearheaded it, but, bro, I mean, Gibson gives us all these guitars for free to sign and do auctions, including 2 Les Pauls custom that we didn't even ask for. And Richard and Southern donates the merch. Curb buys all the posters that we sold, you know. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. The publicist did her work for free. I mean, everybody just, because their hearts were either broken for us or with us, you know. And even the artist, every artist that played that night, it wasn't a favor. They wanted to be there. Come hell or high water, they were going to be there.
Yeah, tell us who all played.
And it came out in the performance. So Aldine, Morgan Wallen, Need to Breathe, Zach Williams, Brandon Heath, Ann Wilson, Winona, Craig Morgan. I know I'm leaving.
Lee Bryce, Maddie and Tay.
Thank you. Yeah, man. I mean,
huge lineup. And then what was cool is the whole, you know, Christian and country crossover, and just everybody killed it. I mean, everybody was performing top notch, amazing show.
Yeah.
Houston, you were getting a ton of shout outs from everybody, thanking you for doing what you did. And I'll say it again, dude, thank you for doing that. I mean, I didn't have any direct relation in any of that other than I live in Nashville and saw, you know, a community hurting, but having you step up like that, man, that was huge and a very daunting task, and you took it on, man, where I think a lot of people would have been afraid of something like that, you know.
Well, I couldn't have done it without, you know, Curb, like I said. I mean, you guys let me do what I needed to do. I actually had a write recently where we're finishing up. I only wrote a handful of songs, man, from like March 27th till like July. I mean, it was a handful. And one of those writes, I was so out of it that I literally didn't remember. I went to go finish the song that had started, you know, in like June.
Yeah.
And it was with Alex Klein and some other ones. And I call Alex. I'm like, hey, what song are we writing? Like, she's like, you don't remember the song? She tells me the title of the song and the people that were in the room that day and all this stuff. I'm like, I have no recollection. Like, you tell me the title. She's like, here's your title. I was like, really? She goes, you're totally spaced on this entire day. I was like, wow. I guess I did. I didn't remember it. And that was my headspace, you know. So without you guys, there's no way, you know, that I could have done that, or much less just be the husband and father that I needed to be during that time. You know, that pressure of work and contracts coming up, how many cuts, you know, all that. I didn't feel that from y'all. And man, that was so healing.
Life is bigger than a lot of these minor issues like quotas and contracts, man. It's you know.
Well, not many people in this business, because it's still music business, right?
Sure.
Not music friendship.
The business is always going to be here.
Music family, yeah. And anywhere else, I feel like I would have still had to worry about it regardless.
Well, dude, good on you for that. I'm so proud of you for setting all that up and Curb supporting it. And if some people want to, do you still have a thing going? I mean, people can donate or get involved. Or what is that? How does that work? Is there a website? Is there...
Yeah, they've got links. You know, if you go to the Covenant website, it won't be hard to find a link to donate. Okay. They've got multiple different things set up. They're getting ready to do a golf tournament they still need sponsors for. I mean, they're all the time doing. We're going to do a songwriter round in the spring, but also the Opry thing will be. We're going to do it again next year.
Nice.
I just found out we're going to do it again.
Did they put the performance on YouTube or anything where people can go and see it if they haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, you can go to the Opry's YouTube channel. I guess would be Circle Network is what it is if you want to do the app. But you could go on, just go to Circle Network YouTube, Grand Ole Opry, and it's a Covenant Night at the Opry, and it did so well financially, above and beyond. I mean, whatever I thought when I first started this thing, I'm thinking, $200,000 would be amazing, right? I mean,
can you speak to that? And after this, we'll let you go because I know you probably need to get home to the wife and kids. I want to leave. I'm tired of talking now.
You've hardly said anything. What's your problem?
I'm done. My back of my knees are sweating. I want to go home now. I'm just kidding. We wrote one day, and you told me you had talked to Garth. Mm-hmm. That's Troy Al Brooks for y'all that don't know. It's a huge country star from Oklahoma. But he got involved.
Yeah,
but I know
he's going to help us out next year.
Okay,
with
we can talk about that at a later date.
Hopefully, playing the one we got at the Opry. This next one coming up. Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, Garth. He's got a contract with Caesars, right? So he gets I think 2 or 3 benefits he can do, and he'd already committed at the time, you know.
But it's so cool that you got to talk to Garth, and he was like, "When I can help, I'm in." That's badass.
It was through email communications through someone.
But you still sort of got to talk to Garth.
I did email. Well, Jared Neiman's story.
Yes, please.
This is a good one. This is he had wrote the Garth song,
"Good Ride Cowboy."
Good Ride Cowboy, and then the other one I can't remember off the top of my head, but. We were in Oklahoma, and Jared just tells us on the bus one day, he's like, "Hey, we're going to go hang out with Garth." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." We pull up to this property with no address. Like, this place has no address. It's just off the grid, right? And you go through this long driveway, and then you come to this field house, and we go in there and we play basketball. And it's Garth's place. And he comes out and he plays basketball with this man, and you forget, you know the stories. You forget who he is until he leaves. And once he leaves, you're like, "Oh man, that's Garth." And in the moment, he's just another awesome guy that's just awesome. So he bought pizzas for us. Yeah, so I got to hang out at his house and shoot basketball with him one day because of Jared. Yeah.
There was no big,
just a merch guy,
weird G at the front of his gate.
No, we never went to his house. So his house kept going up on the hill.
On the basketball court.
No, it was
there a
he
picture?
had a game room, he had weight room, all there, and then this full court basketball.
Was there a big picture of him and Trisha on the floor?
That's Miss Yearwood, actually.
Miss Yearwood.
Yes,
Miss Yearwood.
He calls her by Miss Yearwood, so I do too. Because what Garth says goes,
Dude, you got anything else you got going on right now you want to talk about? I mean,
can you say anything about the documentary?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with that.
Here I am, my crazy brain. I'm 3 weeks before the Opry show, and everything's just full tilt. And somebody had said, "Hey, go on CNN. There's a picture of Cooper in the bus, from the shooting, whatever." And I've just stayed off of media because every time I get on there, it's something to do with Covenant and the faces of the kids and all this stuff. So I just blocked it off. So I finally go on there on CNN. I see the picture of Cooper. I'm like, "Oh, he's just smiling, hanging out the bus, the day of the shooting, and whatever." And then I start reading all these comments, and they're like, praying for Covenant and praying for this, blah, blah, blah. And then I see one that just really just caught me square between the eyes. It said, "How can y'all pray to the same God that let something like this happen, let kids die?" And it shook me, man. And I'm like, if I wanted to write back so bad and be like, if you only knew, that's how I get out of bed in the mornings because of God. The way the different ways he's shown up since March 27th and just picked us up and shown himself physically through the rainbow and all these things and the Opry and all these hearts, man. Great hearts and people putting all this stuff together, and we're all broken together, and you see God through all that stuff. I'm like, man, I don't need to write this comment back. I need to show them visually.
Yeah. And
that's where the Netflix, the documentary thing came into my mind. And so I called up the one guy I knew that does anything video. I know one guy, and it's Lee's guy, Chase Lauer.
Yeah.
I've worked with him with music videos and stuff in the past. I'm like, "Hey, dude, that was crazy, but hear me out." Right? Here I am, crazy dude.
This is how it all starts, man.
Yeah, and he's like, "Man, I know a producer would be perfect for that." And he calls Rob Harville. Rob Harville does all the ESPN 30 for 30s. He's UFC's, all the content in the UFC. He's their guy. We sit down, we have coffee again, and I tell him my vision on all of it. This isn't about Covenant, the shooter, or me, or gun control, or mental, whatever. It's not about any of that. It's simply my testimony about how God's shown up through this, the whole thing. And letting the Opry be the last example of that.
Yeah.
Here's an example. And it lead to the Opry in the last episode. He's like, "Oh man, that's awesome. You know, I need about $400 something odd dollars, $1,000 for a budget, 400 something thousand." I'm like, "Well, it's good talk, you know."
Yeah.
Dude calls me back 3 weeks later. He's like, "Hey, dude, we got funded." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!"
What?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I guess I don't know if it's his job, but he went out and got funding for it.
Wow.
And then I'm like, "Okay,
I need
God."
funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Okay, God, you know, here we go again." And you know, I could have thought of this when I'm not in the middle of an Opry show, but man, we had a bus. We used Lee's bus back behind the Opry stage, and we were interviewing Mike Chandler from the USC and different artists during the night, and we're going to add it to the documentary. And yeah, man, I'm working on that kind of on the not down low, but I want to get it at a point where I can present to other Covenant parents, the school board, and then also the Opry. I don't want to sit down and be, "Hey man, I got this idea for a documentary." I want to hit play and then go, "Oh yeah, we approve of that. We want some of that." You know, we're all in. Because you can get into some red tape, man. I mean, what if there's a kid there, you know, that has some B-roll footage from the news that their parents don't want in there, or they think you're in it for this reason, for financial gain or whatever. I'm giving money to school. It's never about the money, you know. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I got a story to tell.
Yeah.
And so I'm just getting it at the point I'm ready to sit down and have discussions with other people. Hopefully there's a lot of other parents that want to jump in and do interviews and tell their story, how God showed up in their life during this whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. Yeah, and we got a pretty good trailer going, and I'd send it to
Yeah, he
Colt
sent it to me, and I think it's like just the rough draft trailer, and it's powerful, man. Just the little bit that you already have, and I guess, you know, y'all are, I'm assuming the main topic of it is obviously about the Covenant shooting, but you know, you're in the trailer, you're even touching on the tornadoes that happened in March of 2020, and there was something else. Was it the flood or
flood? Yeah. Yeah. Those will be like, you know, minor examples, and leading to the Covenant thing.
I feel like the theme was, you know, Nashville as a community always comes together in the hard times, and so,
which is a God thing, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product, man. I think it's going to be really special.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm just sitting back going, "What's next, man?" You know, tell me what's next, because you're doing this. You've been faithful here. You've been faithful here. You've been faithful here. What's next? Yeah. Yeah. How can I doubt you at this point? You know,
dude, it's a lot of respect. I mean, that's to see it and do something with it, and you know, and to keep doing.
Well, media never shows the good, right? You know, it's bad. You know, like the shootings, you hear it's bad for 2 weeks and then it goes away, just disappears. They don't tell you how people heal.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me tell you about it. You know, hope has a name. His name's Jesus Christ, and that's what this is going to be about. So, I'm just sitting back going, "What's next, God?" You know, whether that's music or, you know, documentaries that I know nothing about. I mean, I'm doing the filming that they're telling me to, and I'm just sitting back going, "Oh yeah, that's in line with our mission," or "No, cut that out."
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Well, if there's anything we can do to help with that, I'll be happy to.
Yeah.
Anybody I can contact, anybody that, you know, we can get involved. Just let us know. And if there's anybody out there that wants to help, look up on the Covenant School website. If you want to help, if you can help, if you will help, please do help. And if anybody's going through anything and you need somebody to talk to, reach out. Everybody, there's somebody there to help.
You can call David on his cell phone.
Yes,
we'll list it in the show notes.
Yes, my cell phone is
David
available.
Will call you.
You don't want me to call, man, dude. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story, sharing how you got here, what you've been doing. We're so proud of you. You're like you're my little brother, I guess. Your Colt's probably brother.
Yeah.
But dude, I love you. I'm so thankful that you're in our lives, and so thankful for you and for what you do, brother. And Colt, you got anything to add, man?
Well, before we close, do you want to be the first person to spin the wheel of shame?
Yes, of course I do.
For those of you that don't know, we have a wheel. Now, on this wheel, there are things. Those things would be
Chubby Bunny.
Chubby Bunny. Don't know what that is.
We don't have the stuff for Chubby Bunny yet.
Well, why'd you put Chubby Bunny
Do you
on
have
there?
translations? Like, what are these even? Jasper Newton.
Well, you don't worry about what they are. We'll tell you what they are after.
So you can't say, man, I don't want to do that.
Wine. Tortilla.
It's tortilla slap.
Slap?
Tortilla.
Okay. Old Smoky, like Tennessee Vols.
Don't worry about that. What that is.
Okay.
That's
Wake the Dead.
You don't have to spin it, but if you're feeling brave, you can.
Yeah.
Truth
It's
or
called the
Dare.
Wheel of Shame for a reason.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to spin it?
Yeah.
Are you going to
do.
spin it?
I mean, is there something I have to partake in? If
Well, we don't
something
know.
lands
You'll
on?
find out when it lands on something.
If it's alcohol, will you do my alcohol shot for me?
He
No.
would love to do it.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know there's alcohol in there?
Because I have a feeling that there's alcohol involved.
There may not be.
There was probably alcohol involved in making this spinny wheel.
Well, I don't know. Colt brought it in. I don't know nothing about it.
Let's spin it. Let's see what happens.
All right, let's go for it, man.
Why is it the shame though? I don't feel shameful right now.
You will. Give it
Okay.
time.
And round it goes. Where it stops
A new
is
car.
Wow.
Oh no, this is not good.
You get the Chubby Bunny.
That's the one I was.
The one that isn't ready yet.
The one that isn't
I forgot
ready
to
yet.
bring in the stuff. Try it one more time.
What?
One more time.
How do you
man.
have something that's not on there?
Because
on
it's the
there?
first one.
Okay. You give it
What
one
is
more.
the Chubby Bunny? Just for.
Should I tell him?
Yeah, he's going to tell me.
Okay, so this is it's like a little game I learned in summer camp as a kid. So, so what you do is you get those big jumbo marshmallows.
Oh yes.
And you put you start off with 2 in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you see how many you can get in there until you can't say Chubby Bunny anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's not bad.
It's not
That's-
bad.
That's innocent.
I thought
I don't
it
have
was something else.
I haven't brought in the marshmallows.
My
yet, so-
cousins and I used to play Chubby Bunny back home,
Okay.
but it was.
Where are you from,
It was
Kentucky?
something different. Yeah, East Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, what about it?
Okay. Well,
I
Chubby
think that-
Bunny
I
may
think
mean
David
something
could beat
different
all
there.
of us in Chubby Bunny.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, let's spin it again.
here comes Uncle Chubby Bunny.
I was more nervous about Chubby Bunny than all the ones I read out. I'll be honest with you.
Can't wait till it lands on Chubby Bunny again. And
Truth or Dare?
Oh yeah, here we go.
let's talk about it.
Okay.
You want to do a truth?
This is for the
Or a
extra
dare.
content people have to pay for at this point. If you want to hear more from Houston's
Yeah,
Truth or Dare,
exactly.
So you have to
flip
pick a
on
card.
over to
Pick a card.
any card. You know, I used to
Yeah.
be a really good,
Magician.
yeah, man. Back in the day when Tyler, they
Yeah.
called me Houdini. I had 3 card tricks.
Wait. How is this just now a thing?
Oh man, I put on a whole act. Like I had 3 card tricks, right? And I got really lucky one night in front of
Here, give me that
multiple
card.
crews, right? And the trick is you do your trick, you pick a card, any card, and you do a couple things, and by the time you get done with these processes, you know which one it is,
Yeah.
because of the trick. And then you take it and you put it in between your fingers, if you got your 2 fingers like scissors, you put it in there, and you put the bottom one is the card that you know that you got to pick. And then they slap it out, and when they slap it out, the last one that's left is the bottom one every time.
Yeah.
And then I'll show it to them, and they'll freak out, right?
Yeah.
So I do it one time, and Tyler hits it. He had a few cocktails.
Oh.
He hits it so hard that it goes all in the floor.
Oh no!
So I'm mid-skit about this Houdini thing, and I'm like, all the cards went in the floor. I'm like, well, what do I do? So I start digging. I knew it was at the bottom, so I start digging, and I just kind of went to the bottom, what I thought would be the bottom card, but the cards were everywhere. I picked it up. And
No way.
It was the card.
You dog.
And I became a legend overnight.
for sure.
You blew his mind right there.
Oh, blew his mind. Are you kidding me? He ain't got it back yet. It was insane. I even was mind blown that it was right. And then once I got that lucky one, I quit. I was like, I'm done.
I can't do this anymore.
So yeah, that's my Houdini.
What'd you get
All right,
over there?
So you're getting off pretty easy today. This one says, "What's something you know would make you a better person, but you just don't want to do it?"
Empathy.
Empathy.
It's an easy one for me.
I mean, it was right there. You were
Yeah.
ready for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's my prayer. I was always brought up, if you could say, how can I have some spare change? You could also say, hi, welcome to McDonald's, right? So that's the way I was thought. You work hard for what you get, no excuses, that type of thing. And then I married my wife, and I'm like, oh, maybe that person has a story.
Yeah.
She's full of empathy, and that's something I still struggle with, instead of getting mad at someone for sinning or whatever, let it break your heart,
Yeah.
and pray for them. So yeah, empathy would be something I wish I could having a little more of.
Nice.
Right.
Well, go check out Houston Phillips. I'm sure he's got social medias and stuff out there.
Yeah.
Check out the songs he's
And I'll
written.
list your links on our show notes. And people can check you out. And you just recently got a songwriter page on Apple Music. So
Oh, you sure
we'll
did.
link that, and people can check you out.
Yeah, and all the links, Covenant will be on there. But other than that, it's like, my church and my kids. And if you don't like that, you're going to be disappointed with my social media.
Cool,
You'll
man.
unfollow us pretty quick.
Those are good things. I'll give you grief about it later, but it's all
you're,
good.
You're one of the quintessential Nashville songwriter guys. You came here, chase a dream, and you're doing it, and then you have this amazing story with the whole Covenant shooting thing, and your part in it to help make all these families' lives better with the healing process, and so you got a really special part in all this, man. So thank you for sharing it, and thank you for coming on, and
thank you.
You're the man.
You guys are
and
awesome.
like David said, if we can do anything to help, please let us know.
And thank you, Twangtown listeners.
Twangtown!
It's Colt and David.
Come on!
I guess, tell all your friends about it. Give us a good like or an ad or whatever you do. And,
you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah. We're available on all streaming platforms. Rate, like, follow. Let's go! Joe Rogan who? Take that, Joe Rogan.